Hello gurus, welcome to another episode. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Bitcoin right now crashing down to 91,600. We were at 96 this morning, and look at this. This was during the weekend with very tiny volume. During the weekend we had just sideways chop at 94 to 96. Then this morning it pumped to 96, and then look at this, crashing down to 91,600. Super manipulation actually, because you can see, look at these pumps from 91 to 95. Look at these wicks, like they're just pumping it and dumping it. Look at this fake volume as well last week. Very interesting what's going on right now, which is quite dangerous. Why? Because now everyone's seeing a head and shoulders on Bitcoin, a very big one. So they don't want to buy. And if they don't want to buy, then how do we know when it's like, who's going to prop it up if no one's buying because they're worried that there's a head and shoulders? We're going to jump in, and this head and shoulders is playing out everywhere. Now, I've repeated this many times. They use when the ETFs are closed, Saturday, Sunday, or the holidays, to attack the price of Bitcoin. And it looks like they're doing it again. Now, the question is, does when the ETFs open, do they start buying this cheap Bitcoin? Or do they see this head and shoulders pattern and think, oh, I don't know, I can't buy it till it drops down to 85K, the target of the head and shoulders, which will make a self-fulfilling prophecy. So very dangerous. And at the same time, at the end of the week, we have Donald Trump and Elon Musk taking over the US government, who are very pro-crypto and pro-Bitcoin. So very interesting market. We're going to jump into the technicals on Bitcoin. Hit the subscribe button, smash up, thumbs up, and turn on the bell. Bitcoin sitting at 91,700. Huge drop-off. You can sign up to Bybit 60K bonus. That's where I trade 61. We're still in greed, even with this drop. 91,000. Look at this drop. And it's still going. So from this morning, 96, and now we're sitting at 91,694. We'll jump into technicals on Bitcoin, Ethereum. I'll show you my trades. I'm down around 50K from this morning's video. Let's jump into technicals for Bitcoin now. We're going into the video, and right now 935. I was at 990 this morning, so that's about a 65k drop on this account, on these positions. And you can see I picked up more Ethereum at 3,200 when it pulled back. And look, assuming it's going to get a strong bounce off those supports where it's been all weekend with no volume, and we just felt like dropped off very strongly from there. My Ethereum trade, which was in the positive, now down 25k. My Bitcoin trade 10k. Now I've made my liquidation on Ethereum under 2,600. I made it 2,691, and I will go lower. Why? And this is the problem that I'm seeing that's going to cause a lot of issues. One, on the daily on Bitcoin, we've got a clear head and shoulders here. And they're using this weekend, the weekend and the Sunday night to create this shoulder. But now everyone who sees it will be too scared to buy Bitcoin because of this head and shoulders pattern, which will take that head and shoulder target is 74,000. And how you get that target? You measure the distance of the head. So now what they've done actually is they've set off a very dangerous situation. Because of this head and shoulders pattern, because of the drop, people are scared to buy. And if they're scared to buy, then they won't buy, and then nothing will stop it from dropping to 74K. Now, they always do this before the ETFs. This is not the first time we've experienced this. But Bitcoin making almost a new lower low. The low was 90,400, and that was back when we had that big spike in one day in December 2nd, where we went from 104 to 90k. That would be a recent low. 90k, a lot of support there. We're at 91,700. Now we've got that head and shoulders playing out on the bigger time frame that I showed you, and unfortunately that head and shoulders takes us to 75k. Do I think it gets down that low? Very possible. It is Bitcoin. We were at 17k the year before last year. Stochastic oversold, but we're still dropping. Then we had this symmetrical rising triangle that was building this morning that I was expecting to break out to the upside, and instead it just dropped out, which is actually, this pattern is very common. However, why I was a little bit tricked is during the weekend we had very little volume, yet the price stayed the same. And that's why I thought that when volume comes back, we'll have a strong pump. Unfortunately, this is breaking to the downside. The target of this base of the triangle here is 88,900. And it looks like we're going there. We're at 91,500 right now. Bitcoin is just free falling. Nothing stopping it so far. No bounces at all. So even when we get a bounce, the trade from this morning activated from this morning's video. I set a trade at 92, and I've got buys at 90. If you remember my old buys that have been sitting here for a while, I've got Doge at 26. I modified them slightly. Uni at 11, Uni at 11, 10, World at $1.60. World dropping very strongly as well. Bitcoin at 70, 87, and 90k. And now my Bitcoin one is about to be close to activating on the Bitcoin one. However, I want to slowly enter 90,600. Okay, I got to go into the volume on the minute chart and see if we're getting signs of bottom, like when it bottoms out. Usually we get, so this is on the minutely charts. You can see volume coming into Bitcoin. We've got per minute around 500, 200, 500 Bitcoin. And when we see when it was the last time on the minutely candles we had a bottoming formation on Bitcoin after a big drop, we can see back here when we dropped to 92K in January 10th, we had around 700 volume per minute, 701K. So we're still a little bit less volume to mark the bottom. However, it's trying to here. But again, a lot of people will be freaking out because of the potential head and shoulders pattern. But I do believe they're using the ETFs again to kind of create this panic. However, if we go into the weekly charts, clear support, like if we go, where is the big support? Unfortunately, there's no real support on Bitcoin all the way down to 69K. That would be, I would say, the first major support. So we could free fall here. It's very possible. And with this head and shoulders formation, even just that formation of the head and shoulders, target was 75K, and that's also the 200 moving average. That's why I want to slowly enter my positions. I'm just going to let my orders trigger that I had already preset. I'm not going to buy more. I'm just going to let my orders that I already set a while ago trigger out. So Bitcoin, because it's free falling right now. My Ethereum trade also quite in the negative, 3114. I have no orders on Ethereum right now at lower orders. Let's go into the technicals on Ethereum. But I want to enter slowly, even though it's selling off right now. I don't know how low it can go. I made my liquidation for Bitcoin, and so my liquidation for Bitcoin is 85K. My liquidation for Ethereum, 2,600. I will add more to these liquidations. I'm slowly building my position. Even though my account took a big hit from 990 this morning to 930 today, that's still only around 6% for me. And these trades are quite small, but you can see where I've got where I would put orders for Ethereum. The real support is at 2,700. That's where we have a major support for Ethereum. Under that, the next major support is 2,200. If we go on the weekly, I would say the strongest support on Ethereum, we have one very strong one here at 2,700. I would say this is a very strong support at 2,700 on Ethereum. Under that, the next major support I would say would be 2,130. So we have three supports here. We have one at 3K, we have one at 2,700, and you can see that on the weekly, you can see that bigger pattern is breaking down. This big symmetrical triangle is breaking to the downside on Ethereum. I was thinking it could be this, a descending triangle and then get a break to the upside, but we're breaking down right now. Also, you can see the head and shoulders that I was talking about on Bitcoin, and you can see this on all the main alts. Head and shoulders. If we measure out that head and shoulders, the distance of the head, this distance here, and if it drops, the target would be 2,200 around. And look, you can see the same pattern everywhere on Dogecoin, head and shoulders. If I go into the 4-hourly, you can more clearly see head and shoulders on Doge also breaking that main trend line. Then if we go to TON, not really any major pattern, but trying to hold on to a support line here. Next major support for TON will be $4.50. But again, a little bit of a head and shoulders. You can see here, shoulder, head, shoulder, and breaking down. Right now, Bitcoin is free falling, 91,500. I want to see where we get a strong bounce right now. But right now, it's making new lows. No real bounce. We just got a little bit of a bounce, and then it just dropped off again. 91,500. Support lines are the yellow ones. So 90K, 75K. There's a little bit of support here, I would say, at 85K, but it's also not a strong one. And with this head and shoulders pattern, shoulder, head, shoulder, we have to assume the worst. If that plays out, the target is 75K. So I'm going to slowly DCA in. I'm going to let my orders naturally trigger, which you can see again, my orders are at 90K. I've lessened the size of these orders as well. 90K, 87K, and 70K, I've got 8 Bitcoin. 87K, I've got 1 Bitcoin, and 90K, I've got 1 Bitcoin. I'm going to slowly DCA in because it's dropping quite heavily. You can see quite heavy drops, and I don't know how low it can go. Even these orders that I added, about 10 Ethereum this morning here at 3,200, and we're still dropping off further. So really not a beautiful, not the best situation for Bitcoin, because a lot of people are going to be worried to buy with this big head and shoulders formation. So it makes it a little bit difficult. It really can play out towards that 75K. And again, they're using the ETFs being closed to attack the price. Interesting. Descending triangle. Even if we just go by this rising wedge, builds pressure and break down, or rising triangle, if we just go by that, the target, the base of this triangle on Bitcoin, the target of this drop would be 88K, 88,800. So we could have a big drop today, which is weird going into President Trump's inauguration. You can also see Tesla down 2.5%. Tech stocks also down. Google down 8.8%. No real bounce on Bitcoin. 3120 on Ethereum. I might add on a place where we get a little bit of a bounce, but I want to see like a bounce off there. Then I will add small positions. Maybe I'll add like 0.5 Ethereum or 0.5 Bitcoin. I want to DCA in because my account is taking hit, and I need to be prepared that it could go all the way down, which is very possible. If you want to trade like you're seeing me do, go underneath the video. 60K bonus on Bybit. That's where I trade. The other exchanges give good bonuses, and the Telegram, you can take jamescryptoguru.com. Join us in the Telegram. There is a few hundred of you online right now discussing, people crying, 500 long. This guy went 55 times short on Bitcoin from 95. Good call. People are shorting, longing. You can join them in the conversation. Right now, it is dropping, so there will be a lot of panic. So be cautious. Make sure your liquidation prices are low. DCA down, because we don't know how bad this drop can get. Whether this is an attack while the ETFs are closed, or they're going to continue this downward momentum. Maybe the ETFs also open and start selling off. Ethereum again making lower lows, and Bitcoin just free falling, 91,500, new low. The lowest it got recently in the last months, the lowest we came down to was around 91,500, where we are right now actually. Here we came down to 91,460. Yeah, we're near the recent lows. So this head and shoulders is about to break the neckline on Bitcoin. It's free falling right as I make the video. Bitcoin 91,400. The trade from this morning about to hit stop loss. Target 88,800. It came down. It's exactly where it was the last, like the main support line you can see on the 4-hourly. Many times we've come down to touch here, but right now it's sitting exactly on it. So I'm going to DCA down. I'm going to be very cautious buying. I'm going to slowly buy. I've got those orders set, 90K, 85K, 75K. I'm going to let all those orders trigger naturally, and I might buy a little bit of Bitcoin and Ethereum if we get a strong spike down, like a very brutal one, and activates those trades. Hit the subscribe button, smash up, thumbs up, and turn on the bell. Unfortunately, it was not a good time. Yesterday, I feel like I got a little bit trapped on those pumps because the weekend was sideways moving, no big drops with very little volume. So I thought, okay, that's showing strength. And then before the ETFs open today, massive drop across the markets. Bitcoin getting annihilated. So we're going to see how the ETFs open is going to be very, very important. Hit the subscribe button, smash up, thumbs up button, turn on the bell. The time to go heavy, long, heavy buy Bitcoin was 16K. The time to be cautious is up here at the 90K area. So be very cautious up here. DCA in. Love you all. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.